Hey guys, it's Tom back with a brand new video. Thank you so much for the support recently, it's been much appreciated. But today I am going to be talking about how best to get a job as stress-free and as quickly as a Brit on the work holiday visa in Melbourne, in Sydney, in Cairns, in Australia basically, in the major cities. So this is coming from a Brit who lived in Melbourne for 6 months, lived in Australia for a year, so I was in Melbourne for 6, then I was in Gold Coast for 3 months, and basically these like tips, whatever you want to call them, will help you get a job quickly and hopefully as stress-free as possible. Australia is an expensive place to live, so unless you're going over there with 5-6 grand in your pocket, you know, your money is going to go down quickly with groceries, with days out, with your rent. Even if you're living in a hostel, I was living in landing pads in Melbourne, in Brunswick, and I was paying 150 quid a week, so that's £600 a month just on that. Obviously not your phone bill, not your food and everything like that. So if you were like me, going over not that much money, wanting to do a year in Australia, see what it's like, then you need a job basically as soon as possible. Unless you've got a job that you can work from home and you've carried your job over from the UK, you're going to need a job as soon as possible. So I've just got some tips. Hopefully this will help you guys, because I did struggle at the start a little bit, but once you get one job you seem to get quite a few. This has come from someone. I was worked at Novotel, so I was doing concierge there, driving the cars in and out. I was guest service agent, so receptionist at Novotel, checking guests in and out. I was a trivia host, worked behind the bar at the Caulfield Racecourse, so the horse race, and I worked behind the bar there. So I had quite a few jobs in Melbourne in my 6 months, but this is just tips of hopefully will help you guys get a job as quickly as possible. I don't know why there is a spider there. There is no spiders in Melbourne, which is the best thing about it. But anyway, so yeah, if you are going to start in Melbourne, it basically looks like London or Manchester. Not a bad thing, it very much reminded me of those UK cities when I was there, but it is a beautiful city. But I'm just going to be talking about how best to get a job basically. If you do like this video and you do find it helpful, then please click that like button and that subscribe button. That would be very much appreciated. But the first tip that I've sort of got is Seek or Indeed. So Indeed, if you're a Brit, if you're from Europe, you'd have heard of Indeed. Seek is basically the Australian version, so they have Indeed and they also have Seek. And I've just wrote in Melbourne, Victoria, and you can see there's loads of jobs going. Unfortunately, you do have to apply for a lot. So this wouldn't say it's the best way to do it. I do this along with the other things. Don't just rely on, oh, I applied for 4 jobs in one day on Seek and hope for them to get back to you. Because I was there in June 2023 till June 2024, and I applied for so many on Seek and Indeed, and you just never hear back, or you hear back months down the line. So I feel like some of these, I'm not saying this one or this one, I feel like some of them are just outdated and they just don't remove the advert, which is very annoying when you're just gone over there and everything's new and you're trying to get a job. But you can see there's loads of jobs on here, so literally just update your resume or CV, put your Australian phone number, put the Australian address, and then just get spamming. That's my dog behind me. Get spamming away on this. Like, give it an hour, I'd say, just on your laptop or on your phone or whatever. Go to a library, just spam, apply for loads of jobs on Indeed and Seek. As you can see, here's Indeed. It's exactly the same sort of thing. We've got IKEA customer co-work in Richmond. You've got all of these jobs. So basically just apply. As I said though, they're not the quickest at getting back to you. So along this, I would also just mass print out your resume or your CV and hand out, knocking on cafes, restaurants, bars, whatever you've got a passion in. Maybe you've got a degree that you want to take over there, like office work, I don't know, construction, that pays the mega bucks over there. So if you can get yourself on a construction kind of job, then you're going to be absolutely sorted. But it's just getting your foot in the door basically. So I would definitely apply and look on Seek and Indeed, but also just spam print out your resume. If you're staying in a hostel, I'm sure they will print out your CVs. I was staying at landing pads in Brunswick and they printed out quite a few, and then I just walk up and down Sydney Road and just hand out your resumes. Cafe, just whatever you sort of found, bars, pubs, whatever, just keep handing them out. So also at the landing pads hostel that I did stay in, this is it, for some reason there's a really blurry photo, but there's me. they also did like workshops, so everyone in this hostel was on the work holiday visa, like me, trying to get a job basically. So they did workshops. I think it was like every Thursday or something, and they'd go through your resume, and maybe they got a friend who needs someone, and they will help you out. That's how they helped me basically. I end up being a trivia host. So the owner of this landing pads hostel, he owned another hostel called the Mansion, and it had a bar attached to it, and he said, Tom, do you want to be a trivia host each week and get paid for it? And I said, absolutely. Never been a trivia host in the UK, but I seem to pick up jobs really weirdly easily in Australia that I've never done here. I've never worked in a hotel here, never done concierge, never worked behind a bar, but there it was, free reign. Okay, you're British, obviously you know how to pour a pint, and it was, or chat a load of waffle, it came in handy when I was a trivia host. So hostels would help you out. As I say, I only know about landing pads that helped me, but the Mansion helped as well. But there are so many hostels in Melbourne, so there'll be someone in the same boat as you who maybe has got a friend who needs someone to work for them. Basically, just ask at the hostels, at the hotels, stuff like that. Also, they do like workshops in libraries. So there's this massive library in the centre of Melbourne, and you can print out your resumes there. And they do like workshops of everyone comes together who is still looking for a job, and then the people would read through your resume and see if they want to take your phone number and get you a job that way. So that's nice and helpful. Tip is probably if you've got more of the bar, pub, restaurant, that kind of work, then especially in the centre,
battery 10%.
Especially in the centre of Melbourne where you've got all the restaurants and stuff, just again, hand out your resume. You need to sell yourself. I walked into Novotel. Fortunately, I did know someone who worked there who lived at the hostel with me, but you need to sell yourself because there are so many. Like, I worked at Novotel for 5 months. I was probably receiving 4, 5, 6 CVs a day, like a lot. So you need to really sell yourself, not just here's my CV. Can I speak to the manager? I really need a job. I've got a permanent place to live in Melbourne. I'm on the work holiday visa. I'm going to be here for 3 years basically. You need to, why should they hire you on the spot? Unfortunately, half the time I didn't even get around to the interviews. Like, I must have applied on Indeed and Seek for probably 30, 40 jobs. This was in June time, so maybe if you went over this time of year in March, it might be a bit easier to get a job, it might be a bit harder. I'm just judging it from the June to December when I was there, how hard it was for me to get a job to start with. Another good way is Facebook forums, so jobs wanted in Australia, something like that. Basically, just writing the keywords of what you're looking for in Australia, whether it's working behind a bar, at a hotel, something like that. And there are people in there who are looking for help. Maybe it's casual, so maybe it's just a few times a week, maybe it's going to be a permanent role, but definitely like in Facebook groups, something like that, in WhatsApp groups of people looking for staff to hire basically. So you're writing on Facebook looking for job Melbourne or looking for job Brunswick, and then there'll be loads of people that you could send your CV to, give them your phone number, and that is another, I'd say that's a really underrated way that I've heard a lot of people been getting jobs through Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups. Another way to help, so we've got Seek and Indeed, mass handing out your CVs, going to speak to hostel staff about if they know anyone who's hiring for a job. But another one is recruitment agencies. So there are a lot in Melbourne. I used one when I was living in Townsville, and I used it's down here somewhere, Hayes. So they've got one in Melbourne as well. You've got Reed, you've got Robert Half. So basically, they'll help you get a job, and they take a slight cut of your pay each week. You get weekly pay in Australia. It's bloody amazing. So they take a slight cut as long as you're on the books basically, but all you need to do is walk in with your resume. So just, as I say, mass print out resumes, take 10 or whatever, and then walk into one of these. As you can see, there's absolutely loads. Walk into one of them and hopefully they will help you get a job. Look, they're all pretty central, so that is definitely a way that I've heard a lot of people, especially in the construction way, is you just go recruitment agency. They're always looking for people in the mines, working on site. So if you got your, is it CVS card, something like that, if you got your construction card, then that is definitely a way to do that. As you can see, Circus Recruitment, JV Recruitment, Dixon Appointment Recruitment Agency, Hayes, Reed, you've got loads of them. So that is definitely, if you're really, really desperate. As I say, the one I used in Townsville, Hayes, they got me a job, but I worked 4 times in 3 weeks. It was not permanent. That's why I wouldn't say it's the top tip, because it's just like casual work. Oh, can you work 1 day a week? I'm like, mate, I can't afford to just work 1 day a week. So I will take the job, but I'm also going to be looking for something else in the meantime. So recruitment agencies are good. As I said, I've not used any in Melbourne, so I don't know what the Melbourne one's like. I've just used the one in Townsville, Hayes. And they were like, yeah, we'll get you 3 shifts a week. They didn't. They got me 3 over 3.5 weeks. And my money, this was 11 months into my Australia journey, so I was sort of over Australia at this point, and my money was down in the dumps. It was very low. So maybe it's easier in Melbourne than other parts in Australia, but Hayes for me in Townsville wasn't the best. I think it is easier to get a job in Melbourne because if you go so far north, obviously if you're Spanish, French, Italian, whatever, you need to work on the farms. You need to do your 3-month farm work to get your second year visa, whereas Melbourne is not north enough to do that. So that's why I also struggled in Townsville to get a job, because I was competing with everyone else who wanted their second year visa, whereas in Melbourne, because it's not as far north, it doesn't count as farm work here. So maybe it would be easier in Melbourne for these recruitment agencies to give you constant shifts. You know, you want to be working at least 3-4 days a week, or I did because of my financial situation. I was like, mate, I want to be here for a year. I can't be on 2 days a week. You know, that doesn't even pay for my board in my spare room that I've got, or my hostel. So yeah, it depends how much. Obviously, it depends how much you're willing to work, what you want to be doing. I was really open with what I was doing. Like I say, bar work, hotel work, trivia host. I was a pot washer for Hayes in Townsville. I was doing any job I could get my hands on, basically. I was doing it. But if you've got the bar work, like I had the bar work experience in Melbourne, then I did some bar work further up the coast as well. So if you've got bar work of somewhere, Melbourne, Australia, or Sydney or something, then it's obviously you could do that sort of job no matter where you are in Australia. It's very transferable skills. So it's definitely just the first job is the hardest to get into, unless you know someone over there who's going to be hiring you on the spot. It is tricky. Everyone is in the same situation, same boat, but just don't give up. Just go on Indeed, go on Seek, print out a load of resumes and just hand them out. Basically, it's leaflet dropping, going, please, can you hire me? Please, please, please. Coffee shops, they're on every corner in Melbourne. So just don't give up hope, basically. Just keep on going and something will happen. You know, you'll have impressed one manager giving you a CV or on a trial shift, and it will happen. You will get a job. Don't give up. But I say also look at the recruitment agencies. Look for the workshops in the libraries. Ask in bars and pubs and restaurants and the cafes, and then speak to hostel staff, and you will get a job. Don't worry. But yes, hopefully you did enjoy this video. I know it was very cut. It was just. Hope you enjoy this video. Thank you very much for watching. Leave in the comments down below if you've got any more questions or any advice for anyone else, and I will definitely try to answer them. As I said, it took me a good few weeks in Melbourne to get my first job, but when I got one, I got like 4. It was to cover the 5-day week, because working in a hotel is very, if we need you, we'll give you a text kind of thing. It wasn't full-time hours. If you can get an office 9-to-5 job, then you're absolutely laughing, you're swimming, you're loving life. But if you can get a coffee job and it's 2 days a week, or a bar job and it's 1 day a week, then it's quickly you just see you're not saving up enough money, basically. Or that's how I felt, because Melbourne is pretty spenny to live in. But hopefully all of these tips would help no matter where you are in Australia, like your Sydney, your Perth, your Townsville, wherever you are. As long as you're spamming out your resumes, looking on Seek and Indeed, messaging people directly. If you can get into Facebook groups, that would definitely help. And just keep your eyes out. Some people have like leaflets just pinned on like a lamppost. If you need a job, like speak to me kind of thing, and definitely go to recruitment agencies as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will have some more Australian and travel kind of videos soon. I'm going to be talking about what my next like travel plans are, because I've got quite a few on the horizon coming up soon. So thank you for watching.